And welcome to Building and Ground meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of November 16th to order. Okay. Roll call, please. Number 2.
Ms. Parker?
Present.
Mr. Hunter?
Present.
Mr. Hess? Mr. Snipes?
Present.
Mr. Searoy? Mr. Dennell? Mr. Kirkstra?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Ms. Farmer Herbst? Mr. Ashcraft? Ms. Monday?
Present.
Mr. Scanlon? Mr. Wheeler?
Meow.
I think you're still muted, but it's no.
He's muted.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? We have a quorum.
Okay. Very good. We need
We're gonna have to vote.
We have to vote you in. Okay, we need to vote Chairman Wheeler in by Zoom. All those in favor, please.
I move to approve.
Okay. Second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay, same sign? Okay, Andy, you're in.
Hey, the cats didn't vote, did they? Yeah.
Are there any public comments this morning? Any public comments? If not, we'll move to the minutes of the last meeting from October 12th. Please take a look at them and
Move to approve.
okay, we have a motion from Mr.
Jones,
Hunt-
Smith.
I know,
Brown.
Mr. Hunter, you're
Hunter,
first, and then Mr. Dunhill second. So, okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. They are approved. Okay, do we have a presentation? No? No presentation today. We're gonna go directly to Mr. Andrews for building report.
All right, facility dude report for the month of October, 127 work orders. That's a little lighter than normal. So moving on to the financial report, year-to-date numbers you have in front of you there. A couple things we'll discuss. So you can see under the expenditures, office personnel, I had budgeted 113, but we've only allocated 51. So that's obviously, I got to get with Steve on that and figure out. I think we have a lead mechanic that typically goes to that line item that we have him down low, either under the custodian line item or most likely the maintenance line item. So I got to get that worked out with Steve. So a couple discrepancies there. 52,100, looking pretty good there. Last year we were at 116, this year at 99, so that's always nice. You can see under uniforms and service, 54,550, we're above that, and most of that is related to a change in suppliers on our uniforms. So next year that should even out. What else? I think that's about it. Everything else looks pretty good. 56,400, that's always a big one. Mr. Snipes, we talked last meeting about next year's budget. I've got that worked out, so we should have some better numbers next year and won't see those type of line items that are significantly over the budget amount. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Miss Monday?
Yeah, just a quick thing. So under building improvements, is it, oh, I see, it was total budget. Well, no, we're still pretty far under. Is that because the bills haven't come in yet for some of the things that?
For which one? 87,510?
I don't know the number. Building improvements, the last thing on.
Yeah, so we're at 72,787
Right.
versus 166.
Right, so is that
So
because?
last year we had a
invoices?
lot of stuff, if you remember, that may go to ARPA, may not go to ARPA, but we were coding it all to 87,510. And at the end of the year, I think we decided to leave the majority of that in my budget. So that's why it remained there. And I think Chairman Wheeler, he can probably expound on that a little bit if he would like. But
So like the tech pointing and everything happening over at the annex, that'll
be next year.
I was going to say that's not included because
Yes.
it's not invoiced yet.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
And the work hasn't even been done yet.
Right.
So
Oh, they haven't
yeah.
started yet? Okay.
No, that's going to be a spring project for
Okay.
24.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Hey, I guess don't forget there's still one more month on there that's necessary.
Yes, correct. Yes.
We're still have another month this year.
Yep. So that's the financial report. We'll move on to the building report. Here at 189, we've talked about the muffler on the generator. If you walk outside after the meeting, you can see pieces of it laying on the ground. That has obviously reached the end of its useful life, probably reached that a few years ago. So I've authorized the replacement of that muffler. It's going to be in the neighborhood of a couple thousand, probably $2,000 to $3,000 to get that replaced, but something that certainly needs to be done. The roof is done on the old VAC, or I guess you could call it the new State's Attorney's Office here on Schuyler. If you remember, we had some weather at a weather event. I think it was this past summer, maybe late summer. That is now done. The plows are on, salt's on hand, so we are ready for winter, unfortunately. We had our elevator inspection here at 189 earlier this week. We passed, so no issues there. Sprinkler inspection here was yesterday, waiting on that report, but I expect that we will pass that as well. Moving on to the courthouse. I'm working right now on, so the state had come in and done some tech upgrades in a few of the courtrooms, installation of TVs, and I've been tasked with getting some electrical outlets put in for the new TVs. The courtrooms that we're working in are 109, 309, and 200. In 109, that's just a couple outlets. That's not very difficult because there's outlets on the wall that we have to get them moved, so no issue there. Same thing in 309. There's an outlet nearby, so we can get that outlet moved pretty easily. However, courtroom 200 is going to be extremely difficult. We've got a couple TVs being mounted on the north wall in courtroom 200, and there are no outlets on that wall to speak of.
Wow.
So it's going to be, quite an undertaking to figure out how we're going to get the power over there. But we did meet with a couple contractors. We got a couple quotes. We've selected one, and we'll begin some of the exploratory work on that either today or tomorrow. So that will move forward here in the next couple weeks. Swipe card access for the circuit clerk, a couple doors in the basement. I think we talked about that at last month's meeting. We went ahead and we're going to move on that, and through Judge Cunnington and Miss Sandy Cianci, they've agreed to pick up the expense on that, so thank you to them. We're going to get those installed in a couple of the office areas in the basement. That will obviously improve security and ease of access for employees in the basement. A couple projects for next year as I do my walk-arounds. The courthouse drive is in need of striping. If you remember, we replaced that asphalt a few years ago now, and the striping is fading pretty bad, so that's a project probably for spring of next year. I'd like to get the basement or the courthouse drive striped. Update on Doug Bright. I spoke to Doug earlier this week. We're going to be getting the engineers on site to begin work on Sandy's office area there on the second floor. If you're not aware, Doug's wife passed away recently, and he'd been dealing with a lot, obviously. So I've tried to be as considerate of that as possible, giving him as much time as he needs to grieve and whatnot. So it sounds like we're going to be picking that up again and getting moving on that. Next one that I got is the basement ramp and awning that we've talked about at the meeting. Kelly's got the photo there on the screen. So I met with a couple different awning contractors on this project, and just kind of a recap through discussions with Chairman Wheeler, Chief Judge Cunnington, with that being utilized now as the juror entry. He had asked about the possibility of getting that enclosed, because obviously there can be over 100 people standing in line waiting to get in, and thought it would be nice, and I agree to to get them out of the elements while they're waiting to go through the security checkpoint in the basement. So pretty basic rendering you have there. One obviously is the current facade, and then the others are two awning mock-ups The first one is obviously a full enclosure type awning with some side lights on the side of the awning, and then the one below it would be just a black awning running above the basement ramp. And my feelings on this, and we can open it up for discussion, if we're going to spend some money on this, I don't see why we would do something that, it's not going to be watertight, obviously, but I don't know why we'd spend money to just put basically a roof over the top of it, where if you have a driving rain or anything like that, you know, people are still going to get wet standing in there. So my recommendation would be to go with the side panels and then the side lights. And then I have more work to do on this. This is obviously just for information purposes right now, but I have to get with a local contractor, because at the end of the awning, we'd like to install a locking gate at the end of the awning. That way each morning it'll be unlocked. At the end of each business day, it will be locked. That way we can keep people out of there. But if there's any discussion on this, I'm happy to have a conversation.
The chair recognizes Chairman Wheeler.
You know, I had my hand up, so I'll just mention it before I forget. Wes, can you check and see if there's some strategic painting we could do to that generator out there? It looks really bad, and I know we don't want to throw paint on the whole thing, but it is an entrance to our building. You know, there's a lot rusted out on it. You may come back and say, nah, it's just beyond. You'd have to paint the whole thing. But just maybe take a look at that.
Yep, I will.
It's pretty bad. So the only comment I have about the ramp is that I agree with Wes that the side should be covered. I've had a preliminary conversation with the Historical Society, and they don't have any problems initially with this functionally, because it's not a permanent addition to the outside of the building. It's something that could be removed with very little fanfare down the road. If in fact that needed to happen, it wouldn't alter the outside of the building, which is the historical structure. So if you guys approve it, I'll still shoot it back over to Jane over there just to say, hey, this is it. This is what we're doing. You know, say something now or forever hold your peace type thing. So if the committee agrees.
Okay. And yeah, I just couldn't talk there for a second. Mr. Smith.
So I was wondering, with putting lighting in that enclosed area, would it be possible to get portable heat in there as well? I mean, you're running electric. In the winter, it gets brisk, to say the least. And if you can put the lights in, maybe some type of portable heating just to accommodate those people that are standing out there shivering, is that something we could look into?
I mean, anything obviously can be done, you know, to do that. I do know there's no, I'm trying to think where the gas piping would be. You'd have to look into electric heaters or gas heaters. I would think probably electric, just because of the location of gas. It would probably be tough to get that over to that area. But I mean, that's something that if the committee wants me to look into, I can certainly do that.
Well, once again, with the electric being put in there for lighting, because
there's already electric. There's already lights there.
Well, there we go. We have half the problem solved. And the covered canopy.
That's why I said I think electric would be the way to go instead of gas. I was just thinking out loud.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think you know, a little bit of heating probably would help the people somewhat.
Okay.
I've stood out there myself, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Chair recognizes Mr. Snipes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It looks like both of my questions, my concerns have been addressed. In the enclosure, I was thinking about, well, we got the protection from the rain and all that, and hopefully the heat for the winter. Hopefully it'll blow cool during the
Let's
summer.
hope.
However, my biggest focus was up on making sure that there was a gate there, because the last thing I need is for individuals to go down there or have an opportunity to use it after court hours for some inappropriate reason.
Yeah.
So that gate is definitely would have been one of my to-dos, but you considered that already, so that was it. Other than that, I have no objections, and definitely would move that we have you all to consider that with the prices, with the other little amenities that have been discussed to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Snipes. Chairman recognizes Chairman Wheeler.
That was a motion, Madam Chairman, so there would
I'm
have to be a
sorry.
second before I go.
Okay, do we have a second to the motion of Mr. Snipes? Mr. Smith has second. All those in favor signify.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, we have more discussion.
Now I do need to talk.
Now you
Now
can
I
talk.
need to talk. Thank you. With that addition of the heater, it's pushed over the bid threshold, so the motion would have to be for bid packages to be put together, solicited, put ads in the newspaper, and everything else. So I'm just letting everybody know now. I'm not saying you're wrong, but now the project will not happen immediately. It's probably going to be 2 months before it's bid out. Because we have drawings, architects, the whole deal.
Thank you. Miss Chair recognizes Miss Monday.
So in other words, this is not something we can approve now and then work on the heating element at another date, another point in time. Is that right?
You could consider that, but if you make them part of the same project, then they are under that same $30,000 threshold. And I would, you know, if anybody questions that, please talk to the state's attorney. But that's the way you operate. You can't pull something off.
So would it be advantageous to approve this and then come back and add the heat later under another budget review approval?
Well, can we
I don't know if
technically
that would
approve?
be
Can we
strict
approve
project
this,
board.
Andy, if it's not on the agenda? I mean, I wanted to just
What
have
does it say
this.
courthouse on
Part
it?
of the
It's all part of the same
It's part of the
project.
project,
Then
yeah.
if you want to have a separate heating project, maybe you do this, okay? And this is just, I'm thinking out loud. You authorize Wes to talk about how to adapt this when we decide to add heat to it, and figure out if the construction that they're going to be doing now will impede that later. What we don't want to do is to put something up and rip it down to put something else in later. So if he accounts for that as a phase 2, I think we can move forward. We can check with the state's attorney, but
Agreed.
if we say now we want heat, that changes everything.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you have to do things the right way then.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much. Just, you know, some of those comments have been made kind of satisfy my questions and add-ons as well too. I was wondering about, you know, having spinal fusion. You know, I'm probably more, how might I even say, amenable and understanding of accommodation. Would you also consider some kind of a benches under there as well too for those individuals who are disabled on canes, who are I wouldn't say decrepit, but have physical challenges?
I mean, I think it's an excellent idea. The issue with that is going to be when we had to meet with the Attorney General for the ramp, we needed to meet very specific width dimensions. And I think if you were to put any type of benches, I don't think we would have the appropriate width for wheelchairs and
Well,
just
what happens
access.
to the whole concept of accommodation that the AG's office has been beating us over the head about?
I guess I'm not understanding your
Okay,
question.
I understand what you're saying. You may not have the width requirements
Mhm.
for the benches and stuff, but what can you do when you think about it? You talk with somebody who's an expert in ADA and stuff, or the AG's office about what you're proposing. See what you can.
I
come
think
up
it's
with.
an excellent. I think it's an excellent idea. It's just a question of, you know, for that to be considered. When we went with that as our ADA entrance, you know, they showed us like you have, like, if you remember, when the ramp turns, so the ramp comes out of the courthouse and it makes about a 45-degree angle and it turns and it goes up to grade. Well, when it turned right there, we actually had to shave off part of the building because we didn't have the appropriate width.
Okay.
So that's why I just remember that. And if we're going to be putting anything else in there that's going to limit that width, I think that's going to create some issues. But I mean, obviously, yes, it's a terrific idea. I would have to talk with our architect and see if there's any way that could be done.
Because the whole jury pool is not ambulatory.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I gotta go, as I told Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Wheeler.
Thank you. We have, we went around and around with this. Wes is correct about the width. We can't put anything on the ramp itself because you can't put anything on an incline. We could only put something at the bottom, and I don't think the width allows it down there. I haven't measured it, but there are benches at the top and other places. So I don't know how we could account for everything. I do know that it would be about $900,000 to move that ramp because we'd have to move the circle drive as well. That's when we looked at it before. So if we wanted to make it wider, there's a massive cost to that. We did look into that. So I'm not saying the idea is wrong. It's just the implementation and actual construction footprint that we have, I don't think allows it. The only place we could put a bench would be at the top before you go down the ramp. And I hope that makes sense the way that I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
Well, what's your recommendation, Chairman, on how to move forward? I mean, I have some work more to do on this. I was hoping to come to the committee, kind of show you the concept, what we're thinking, if we're all in agreement that, yes, we want the side panels. If we want to look at heat, whether that's now or in the future, we can certainly do that. But I just wanted to get kind of a head nod that, yes, everybody agrees this is a good project, something that, we do need to move forward on, because I still have some things that I need to do. I still need to meet with both contractors. There's some work on the gate that I have to do. I have to get the exact dimensions. So, I still have stuff to do, but, if it's okay with everyone here, if we can get a head nod and say, yes, this is something we want to move forward with, and, maybe do an update at next month's meeting, Andy, does that sound good?
It's fine with me, yeah, as long as the committee's good. There's a motion on the floor for Mr. Snipes. They would have to agree to that.
I think Mr. Snipes.
Right, I believe that when I stated the motion, I said it was for the feasibility because that's what he was saying.
Right.
Not so much for the approval,
Right.
but the feasibility study of the proposed renting with the panels and the heating and whatever else that he can look at. He can break down that cost.
Yeah.
But I think the motion was only for the feasibility study, not for the actual approval of this, because he stated that he was still in the preliminary stages. So that was the purpose of the motion.
Yeah, and I had just got this stuff earlier this week, so I didn't even know that I would have this ready for today. So
Right.
luckily I did just come in. So
I'm Chairman Wheeler to clarify that to ask Mr. Snipes to take back.
no, it sounds like
No,
he
I think,
clarified.
he clarified it. The motion
not
and the
on the
second were
agenda.
to just,
Where
it's not.
It's not on the agenda.
It's project.
Okay, could that be then, Andy, that we can do the motion?
Yeah, you can't, if there's something on the agenda to vote that you want to do the project and bring back with the, I want to say, bells and whistles next month. So giving Wes permission to move forward.
Yeah,
we're not spending money.
the only
Right.
items on the agenda is a facility report, financial report, building report, animal control update.
Right.
Well, it's in my
Yeah.
building
He-
report.
Right. So the feasibility.
If we're spending money and voting on it, we'd have to
I think
be
you
on
have
the
to call
agenda.
it
But
out
this allows him to go forward.
Right.
Yeah.
the
Okay, and we do have a second on the floor. So any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor?
Well, we're not spending any
No,
money
we're
I'm
yet.
not spending no money. Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? No. So we're just going to move forward with.
We're moving forward.
We're moving forward.
Moving forward.
Moving forward. Okay.
All right, moving on to Old Jail and Annex. We added some glycol to the chiller, so that's ready for winter. That's the new unit at the Annex. Still working on toilets. I sound like a broken record, embarrassingly, on that. The spring work, or the spring facade work, as Miss Monday mentioned, is still on for spring of 24. And overall, the summer to winter operation has gone pretty well. So that's an old building, and when you're cooling it all summer, and then you get to this part of the year when it's 68, almost 70 degrees during the day, and then it gets down into the 30s at night. I mean, you're switching, I'm trying to run it without getting any air conditioning, because switching between the systems is just a huge pain. But overall, we've done pretty well, and it looks like, unfortunately, this is the last week of the mild temps, because it's supposed to get pretty cool next week. So overall, things are good at both the old jail and the annex. JCDC and public safety, we've been busy out there. We had a small water heater break, caused some very minor water damage into the coroner's lobby area. That's been replaced, and the water damage has been cleaned up and fixed. We also had in that same room, within a couple days of each other, there is a check valve on the sprinkler system that broke as well, causing a little bit more water damage there. So that's been taken care of as well. A couple weeks ago, I had a contractor out, and we PM'd all the UPS systems out there. I have some batteries that I need to replace on a variety of the systems, so we'll have some money to spend with that. Same for the generators. Those went through preventative maintenance as well a few weeks ago. We have some battery work, or battery replacement rather, that needs to be done on those out there, the 3 of them at Jerome Combs. We just got done with painting and booking, and I'd like to thank the sheriff for taking care of that. They're going to take care of the painting. They're going to pay for the painting. So much like Judge Cunnington and Sandy taking care of the swipes, and then the sheriff taking care of the painting in the booking area. I've been here almost 6 years next year, and I think this is really the first time that we've had people step up and take care of some of these expenses. So I want to thank them for that. It's really a huge help. Repairs to laundry, that was done yesterday. We had some significant repairs to our laundry facility out at the jail. Next project that we're looking at out there is to do some more shower doors. So a few years ago, for those of you that are newer, we converted to, I call them saloon type doors. They just kind of open like this, and they really worked out well. And the next project that we're going to go to now that we're done with the painting is looking into going into one of the cell blocks and putting in more of those shower doors. I think we talked about this at last month's meeting as well. It cuts down on our expense on the shower curtains. So we'll keep moving forward on that. We did the state came in with the work being done at the courthouse. They also upgraded our VA system for courts out at JCDC. Really looks nice, very nice, large screen. So that'll be very nice when obviously the inmates have to meet with the judges. So that's been done. And then painting. So my staff, we matched the paint. We're going to continue to paint. I'm not going to outsource that. That's something we'll do in our staff when we have time. But again, public safety is 20 years old. I've said that numerous times. And a large portion of that building hasn't been painted in over 20 years. So just as time permits, we're going to, continue to do some painting out there. So that's all I have on that, on the building report. Are there any questions?
Chair recognizes Mr. Snipes.
Thank you. Just a note, I was wondering, and it's just a thought, it's not nothing concrete, but it's wish lists, that could this be funded, because it's almost a benefit to the community as well. Could it be funded up under the opera, or has it been applied for opera funding for the because I know you're in the preliminary stages, so I was wondering if that's another option for financing to look for, since it's out there and it's something that is benefiting the community as they're coming in, doing that hedgeway. So I know that your budget is limited when it's to a 30,000, but it's just when if we can find extra money, if we can, I think it would be a nice avenue to go after, since we have a committee that looks at those dollars and see if it's feasible.
Agree.
Thank you. I have one question. How are the
Yes, ma'am.
ovens coming along? Did we get them in?
The ovens are working.
The ovens are working?
Yes,
Yeah, good. That's
yes,
good news.
yes. The ovens are working, so
Ovens
no
are
issues.
working.
No issues there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, are you ready then to move on to?
Yeah, we'll go to animal control. That's the last item on the agenda. Kelly's got some photos that we'll share with you if you want to pull those up. So I stopped by there yesterday, took some photos. So that's going to be on the north end of the building. You can see the concrete is finished there with all the rough end plumbing on the floor. And Kelly, you can just kind of go through them. So that's going to be the east elevation of the building. We'll go through that's grabbed one of the electrical panels. That's the interior. You've got obviously you can see the drywall's done, door frames are in, painting is actually going on right now. That is that's going to be the north side of the building. North side again. Actually, go back one. So you can see this is what I was impressed with. That's a drain system.
Wow.
So when they concrete that for ease of cleanup and whatnot, everything's going to go into that drain. So that'll be very nice.
That's great.
Where does it go into? Just pop it because it's animal feces and all that. So what's
That'll have to be a question for Carrie as to how she cleans that up. I don't know how they do that. So that's the roof. So I was out yesterday. Langlois was out there. The building will be completely watertight by the end of the week.
All right.
Again, the roof. I don't know why those are small. And then that's the front garage when you pull in. Another drain there, and then they were just finishing the concrete there yesterday. That was taken a while back. That's obviously before the concrete went in. That's the vapor barrier that goes underneath the concrete. Is that it?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, overall, the project is moving very well. Like I said, it'll be watertight by the end of the week. The electricians were in there yesterday working on the installation of outlets and wiring for light fixtures. Like I said, painting is ongoing. Drywall is hung. Insulation is done. So I mean, it's really moving, I think, about as quickly as it can. And obviously the weather helps. When you have this kind of weather in November, they're able to get a lot accomplished. So watertight by the end of the week. That was my biggest concern on any time a project of this size going into the winter months. The quicker you can get under roof, the better. And it looks like I said, that'll be done by the end of the week. So overall, very positive report there. I'm trying to think what else. There was some discussion earlier this week about the wiring for cameras, and Andy, you'll be happy to know that the wiring for all the camera systems was included in the bid. So no issues with that. So, are there any questions on animal control?
Chairman Wheeler, did you have a question or a comment?
It was more of a comment. So the committee knows and maybe share that the ribbon cutting for this facility. Because I had to get the dedication plaque / cornerstone ordered already, I had to make it for July 1st.
Okay.
We could be in the building as soon as April, but the original plans were sometime in June. So I've scheduled with the Chamber of Commerce a ribbon cutting for the afternoon, roughly 4 p.m., more to come, on July 1st. That'll be like the grand opening ribbon cutting. But we, as Wes mentioned, and I think Carrie said earlier, it's possible we could be open a month or two earlier. Mm-hmm. Once we have a firm date, we'll talk to the chamber and see if we need to move that date, but can't change the plaque. It's under production. So I hope that makes sense the way I put it.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Chairman. Okay, any other discussion about animal control? I know that we're all very happy. AWAC met last night, and we're all excited.
It's gonna be very nice.
It's gonna be great, absolutely. Okay, do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? Other?
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Kirkstrop.
since our regular couldn't be here today because he's having eye surgery, he asked me to make sure that I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Kirkstrop. Do we have a second on that? Mr. Smith? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, thank you, and we'll see you next month. Everyone have a very happy